For the Beatles, the meaning of failure differed greatly from that of most bands. Where many groups would have considered a failed song to be an unlistenable mess best hidden on a B-side, the Fab Four's idea of failure simply meant not reaching the top of the charts. Even in their earliest days, long before international fame, the Beatles were determined to aim high. Their relentless hours performing in Hamburg clubs sharpened their skills and prepared them for global success. Still, they understood that none of their ambitions would be realized without producing a true hit single. At that time, the recording studio remained an unfamiliar environment, and their musical gifts were raw, not yet refined. It would take years before they became the unstoppable hitmakers who could churn out #1 singles effortlessly. Interestingly, many of their most cherished songs weren't written with commercial success in mind, and when they deliberately tried to craft one, the result didn't always go as planned. That was the case with Hold Me Tight. The song was written with the hope of becoming a chart topper, composed by Paul McCartney at his family home on Forthland Road in Liverpool, the same place where he and John Lennon created early classics like She Loves You, I Saw Her Standing There, and Love Me Do. Today, that modest home has been preserved by the National Trust as a monument to its cultural significance. Despite its promising beginnings, neither Lennon nor McCartney felt any deep attachment to Hold Me Tight. Once the Beatles began dominating the charts, however, they faced constant pressure to release more music for their rapidly growing fan base. As a result, Hold Me Tight eventually found a place on their second album, with the Beatles, though it had originally been intended for their debut. During the Please Please Me sessions, the band recorded 13 takes of the track, but were dissatisfied with every version and decided to abandon it. Later, pressed for new material for their sophomore release, they revisited the song. Had time not been so tight, Hold Me Tight might have remained unreleased for years. In later years, McCartney reflected on the track with disapproval, describing it as an early attempt at writing a hit single that didn't quite succeed. He explained that during the band's early period, they focused on producing short, radio-friendly songs, about 2.5 minutes long, and Hold Me Tight had been one of those efforts that failed to become a hit, eventually relegated to being a filler track on the album. In another interview, McCartney admitted that he had little recollection of the song, considering it one of those pieces that felt more like work than inspiration. John Lennon shared a similar indifference, remarking in 1980 that the song was mainly Paul's creation. He thought he might have contributed a few parts, but described it as a weak song that never really held his interest. Though Hold Me Tight never earned a spot on any Beatles' greatest hits collection, it serves its role as a modest yet competent album filler, on with the Beatles. Still, when measured against the band's towering standards, even what they viewed as a failure would have been considered a triumph by most others.